Hey everyone, here's your lesson on area of the circle. What we were going to do is we were going to spend some time talking about developing the formula for the area of the circle. So one way of thinking about this is if we were to take the circle, you know that if we were to measure all the way around the circumference, the area, the formula for the circumference is 2 pi r. So 2 times pi times the radius. So if you start thinking about that, if we took a circle and we took all these little sections and we divide them up to make a rectangle, and you kind of stood them, head to foot, over and over again, you kind of get a somewhat of a rectangle. Now you know the total all the way around is 2 times pi times r. Now if I took half of those, as you can see half are here, and the other half's here. You know the length of one of those halves would just be pi r. So if you took half of this, 2's would cancel out, you'd be just left with pi r. So that's when we got the length of one of the sides for our rectangle. So the other side of the rectangle is just the radius. The length from the center of the circle all the way to the edge. And I know that's not the most straight line, but I'm kind of drawing with my finger on a screen. So it's not going to be perfect, but that's the radius. So if you take the length of a rectangle, or the area of a rectangle, and area of a rectangle equals length times width. Well, then if we took the length of pi r and multiplied by r, what that would end up giving you is pi r squared, because r times r will give you r squared. And that's basically where the area of, or one way of kind of thinking about how we get the area of a circle. So that's kind of where the area of the circle comes from. When we, I had it all loaded up and ready to go, and it looks like I've crashed my notes. I'm sorry about this. That's too bad. Let's try this again. Just give me a second. Let's see if I can load this up. No, I want that one right there. Okay. So let's see if this works now. Okay. So if I gave you just a normal everyday circle, the area of a normal everyday circle will be pi r squared. And that's pretty straightforward. Area equals pi r squared. That's the formula for area of a circle. If I were to give you a semicircle, also half of a regular circle, you could then take the formula and you could make it area equals half of pi r squared, because the area would be half of the actual area. If I give you only a quarter of the overall circle, you had to find the area of that, well, obviously it would be a quarter of the area, which is pi r squared. So those are just two handy pieces of information to have. Let's see if my next one's loaded. Perfect. So if I were to give you these two examples and ask you to find the area using these two values as pi. So one accepted value for pi is actually 22/7. There's lots of different ways of determining pi. Feel free to go down the wormhole of how the value of pi is found and calculated. It is, there's a lot of history there, and a lot of time went into finding the most exact value for pi. One accepted value for pi is 22/7. The other is 3.14. So if you don't have a calculator that can give you pi, you can use either of those values. So when you find area using either one of these, you say area equals pi r squared. You would then say area equals 22/7 times r squared, which would be 7 squared. And then on your calculator, and I'm just picking mine up, I would go 22/7 times 7 squared, and I got 154, and our units here are meters squared. Fantastic. So we'll try this again for our next example. So with this one, our radius is 10 centimeters, so area equals pi r squared. Again, you would say 3.14 times 10 squared. And please admire for a second that I'm showing all my working. So, and as I expect to see all your working when you're doing your work, and I expect to see all your working. And again, you'll remember back to once upon a time I said something like, I want to see 3 lines of work. And please notice there are 1, 2, 3 beautiful lines of working, as I would expect to see from you when you're handing in your work. Please do not give me final answers. Back to what I was saying. Sorry. 3.14 times 10 squared gives me 314 centimeters squared. So that's how to find the area if you're just given a value for pi. However, generally speaking, you're going to use your pi button. I have a video on Google Classroom showing you how to use your pi button. This one circle, we have to find the area of the circle, correct to 2 decimal places. So step 1, area equals pi r squared. Area equals pi times 2 squared, and then on my calculator, and I'm going to just give you both kind of the answer before rounding, the answer after rounding. So go shift pi times 2 squared to give me, and it's going to give me 12 point, and this is rounded, so just 5663706 before rounding. And then they ask you to do it to 2 decimal places, so we're going to round off everything after that because this is 5 or greater. I would give the answer of 12.57 centimeters squared. Please remember to also include units in your answers. So there's a good example of how to find it. Here's the example that they give you, say, to 2 correct decimal places. If they ask you for the exact answer, that would be 2 squared would be 4 pi. And that would be just taking this, you would evaluate your exponent, and then you'd keep it as a number times pi. And you don't even need to say times, you just write them next to each other. And just like in our algebra unit, if you have a number beside a pronumeral, here if you have a number beside pi, it means multiply. All right, so we're going to find the area of these 2 examples. So we'll do the easy one first. We'll do this one. So area equals, and this is a quarter of a circle, 1/4 pi r squared. So the next thing I would do would be I'd write 1/4 times pi 3 squared, which equals 1/4, 1 divided by 4 times pi times 9 gives me, I got 7 point, sorry about that, I'll just erase that. That's 7.0685. Rounded 2 decimal places to get 7.0, oops, that's rounded, sorry. 7.07 meters squared. If you want to give the exact answer, you could also say that it is equal to 9/4 pi. Would be how you could write that, I believe. And then for this one, don't forget that it's saying that 5 kilometers is the distance from here to here. With these questions, you must use the radius. You cannot use the diameter. So you have to divide it by 2 to get that length right there, which is 2.5 kilometers. So area equals half of pi r squared, which equals half of pi times 2.5 squared, which equals 2 times, oops, delete, pi times 2.5 squared equals, to get an answer of 9 point, and I'll round to 2 decimal places, 82 kilometers squared. So there's an example of how to do all those. I hope that's clear and pretty straightforward. When you come back from break, we'll talk about the area of sectors, I hope you have a wonderful and fantastic break with your family. You stay safe and healthy, and that you're doing well at home. And I'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care.